Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome to the planning session of what should be a really interesting project, and that's going to be Ultima the High Seraph from one of the games I have a really big soft spot for, Final Fantasy XII. It's one of the major espers and summons you can get in the game. If we come through, here we go. There's Ultima right next to the two hardest summons to get in the game, Ultima and Zodiac right there. So, yeah, no, I just played through the game last year. I really enjoyed it, and we're gonna be doing one of the characters from here that nobody probably ever sees unless you actually get a guide like this or go online because it is pretty much impossible for anybody else to get to. It's just I don't know why they made the thing the way they did. Anyway, the purpose of this session here is trying to go over a general game plan of how we plan on attacking this project and how we plan on bringing down what looks like a very, very complex image on the side here and bring it down into manageable chunks that we can then build and yeah, make our model off of from here. And first thing you need to start with is what are some of the most basic questions we're going to have on this? That's going to be what is it made of and how big are we going to make this? So, as you can imagine, if we're coming up top, this top section up here is going to be clay. The figure herself is going to be clay. And figures we come down, the base here, I'm going to be doing out of wood. So, it's going to be a roughly 50-50 split. And the wings, I'm actually still not sure which direction I want to go on that. I can see a path for the wings being made out of wood. I think it would be more stable out of wood, be less likely to break. The problem with doing with wood is I'm afraid if I do it, it might be a little kind of stiff in here and it might look awkward on that. But if I do it out of clay, I can make it more pliable. I can make it form, I think, a little bit nicer, but it's going to be very easy to break those things. And I'm kind of worried on that side just a little bit. So I have a couple ideas how to loosen things up on the wood, how to bend it, make it look nice. So although I'll probably be doing I will be doing the upper body first. The wings themselves may be done later so that I can kind of do a couple of experiments to see if I can get the wood to work the way I want it to. Because if I can, I would prefer to do it that way, but we're going to play it from there. So that's what we're making it out of. So how big are we going to make this? So my first thought when going through is, hold up, I have a whole slew of things on OBS here, so give me a sec. This is going to be, whoop, okay. So if I bring up the paint here and slide the camera over just slightly. My first plan on sizing it was I take the biggest dowel. I've went for other models and stuff. I've just bought like every size dowel you can get in the store. So the biggest one I could find was 1.25 inches. So if I take this 1.25 inches here and if we come over to our paint on the side here, did we get a little color? Yay, we got color. All right, whoop. All right, if we take, say, this element down here, the goal would be to turn that into the 1.25 inches. And if we do that, the entire model size winds up being about 12 inches tall. With the only downside is Ultima herself, as she's kind of on top there, winds up being about 5 inches tall. So it'd be the same size as mid in the end. And I'm feeling that's going to be a little small for what I want. So as nice and easy as it would be to use the dowel that I had over here, we need something a little bigger than this. So I just figured that would be a really nice way to go off of. So instead, if I use an 1.5 inch kind of hole saw and cut through that, I can still make that part on the side. Why am I pointing? I literally have this I can do with. Yeah, so I can do an 1.5 inch hole saw on that. That's now going to enlarge everything up so that the clay portion here to here is going to wind up being approximately 7 inches tall. And if I come with the wood portion down on the bottom, that's going to be approximately 6 inches tall, give or take. And then the wings, they go up. You can see over there a little bit. That's going to add about 2 more inches. So we're going to be wound up around 15 inches in the end, which considering all my other models are around 10, I think that's going to be a really good kind of balance on that. And as one more kind of caveat on why I really don't want to go any taller than that, is the skirt over here, or the skirt, it's not skirt, the dress over here. It fluffs out to around 9 inches wide, which is about as wide as I want to go and put in my oven for hardening stuff. Because anything past that is going to run, it's going to run into issues of burning on the sides. Because the oven I'm using is about 12 inches wide. As you start getting close to those walls, you're going to have a bigger chance of burning stuff. So I don't want to have problems with that either. So we're kind of limited on that set amount there and how big we can make this. So we're going down to clay and wood, and we're going to be approximately 15 inches tall on the end and approximately 9 inches wide on the dress, and the wings will go out even further. The wings will probably wind up being about a foot or so in the end. So that's what we're going to be doing on that front. Now, I can get you out. So if we come in from here, you're probably looking just on we're going to go over the clay portion first, and then we'll go, actually probably not going to be covering that much on the wood portion this session. Not going to be that much on the wood portion this session because I'm going to be doing the clay work first. So let's just focus on the clay, and then maybe before I go into the wood, we can go into ideas I have on the woodworking side of things, because I have some plans, and hopefully it'll work out with the tools that I have. Bandsaw would be nice. I don't have a bandsaw, so I have other methods I can use for that, but yeah. So one of the things you're probably going to noticing is if we have the top part clay and the bottom part wood, this is a really, really simple kind of thing, because all she is just standing on this platform. That's just what it is. And thanks to the nature of the internet, we do have images such as this, which weren't as censored on the internet. I'm trying to be really nice here. And it would just be, okay, if you want to take the dress part out, you can see how tall she is, and we can work from that. Great, no problems there. Except one of her major spells that she casts in the thing is going to be the Holyja, which, again, in early Final Fantasy games, the ultimate white magic spell was just called White. Then Final Fantasy VI, they went and they called it Pearl. And ever since then, 7 and going forward, they've started calling it Holy as the most powerful white magic one. Black magic goes into either Ultima, Nuke, or Flare, depending on which version you are in that. So they go in the directions. So she's a white magic, as you can imagine here. And hers is that. So when she casts that, what we can see here is the dress kind of flirts up a little bit, and we can see some interesting things going on in that, yeah, if we come back onto here, and if I take it on this, these legs down here, they don't exist. They do not exist on this character. Instead, one more time on the spell, is you can see kind of the machine parts come right up and in. So rather than standing on the platform, she is actually more like one of the platform. You can think of it kind of like either a mermaid or a Naga type situation, where it's like a mermaid, you would have this come down, flipper comes out and in, comes out and there, and that's where that would be the split between fish and person. You have the kind of the Naga situation going, where you're part snake, you would come around, your snake tail comes out, down. So this is kind of the same thing, only at the base of the waist here now we have these little mechanical arm things kind of come out, these little kind of hockey stick things there, and that then immediately starts at the base of the waist, and that's where that kind of starts from. So she is kind of part and parcel of the platform, which also explains, if we're going to zoom in close on this, if you're looking at kind of one of the main figures you're looking at, is the skin color is not a natural skin color. You can see it's kind of that greenish, bronzish kind of look. And in my mind, looking at that, that seems almost like an automaton kind of feel to it, like an aged kind of copper look. Which again, if you've ever seen the Siberia series of games, they now have 4 games out. They're kind of point-and-click adventure ones. If you have like the Hans Varlberg kind of automaton kind of look going on, you have something like this. It kind of reminds me of that, where it just has this feel to it, which even if we take it one more, if we take the conductor on the side there, and you look at the side view, it's like, oh, it looks really good. He had the same kind of idea going, where if you look from his waist down is just a spoke that comes up, and the body starts on top of that. It's kind of the same look going on here. So she's almost, yeah, like that automaton kind of look to it. And I think that's just kind of an interesting detail they use on that. Which again, it's not unusual to see that type of thing in kind of a visual medium of this kind of game. If you look at like the demonic side of things, you always kind of think these gnarled kind of organic, like super organic kind of twisted forms, where if you want to represent like a perfection type thing, or like an angelic or a Buddhist kind of thing, sometimes you'll see like a clockwork kind of elements going into those, because that's kind of a visual symbolism of kind of precision and perfection stuff. So we do kind of see this type of thing in this medium. It's interesting just to see it, I don't know, pop up in here. And like I said, just the form, the skin color all kind of make it seem like kind of a clockwork kind of figure going on. However, in terms of our order of operations going on, let's go back into our paint program. I'm already talking too much, so we're going to try to speed through. So the way I'm going to try to hope to get this going is the first thing I'm going to start with just kind of this. I'm going to do the standard body like usual, have the body come in. We're going to come down there, make the arms, bam. And we're just going to stop it here. I'll probably have like maybe a wooden disc or something with a peg or whatever that comes out into this, so it can just kind of have a solid base then to build off of. And then from there is where we'd build like these hockey stick kind of figures that kind of come up and in and whatnot. But that's kind of our phase one. With that, I'm also going to be doing kind of the head probably with that. Usually I do the head kind of towards the end. This time I'm going to be doing probably earlier on, because really the main event on this is going to be this dress, this overflowing dress coming down. And for that, thankfully, it's much more extravagant than the ones I've done. It's going to be done in 2 layers, first thing, because you can see there's a lace layer underneath. You can see this kind of lace layer down here underneath the main area. So there's going to be 2 layers of that. And thankfully, I have done one like this before. So if we come down here, I can pan down to one of the ones I did about a year ago, which is, I've actually videotaped all these ready to be uploaded, but then never actually did upload these. So this one actually came right before Bang, but this is Rain from the Night Witch. And you can see I brought her out because, where's my camera? Because she has this good kind of flowing skirt going on. And we can kind of employ the same idea as I did on this, I keep moving off camera, to kind of potentially use on the Ultima project here. So what I did to do that one, to build it up, is, let me get you off screen, is to build that one up rather than have any kind of internal frame. There's no internal frame whatsoever on this skirt. Instead, when we go in to have this hardened, I have a series of wires that kind of hold up and hold the form in place. So here, wires might be helpful to get that to work. Or if that doesn't feel like it's working, I could always kind of put aluminum foil and kind of make a form out of that the clay kind of sits on top of. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to be learning as we go on this to get that part done. And then really, yeah, once I don't need to use the touchpad, I have a mouse set up this time. And then really, once that skirt kind of area is done, if I'm feeling confident in what I want to do, we can come back and get these wings kind of built. Nice thing with those is I can install those after the fact. I can always make them and then not install them until after, just in case they are fragile. But I could either do that, or at that point we're going to start working on this platform and working our way downwards to kind of finish things out. But really, it looks super complicated on like a first glance at this, but really it's just a couple really basic areas put together with some kind of flourishes in there in the end. So like I said, we can just do a body first, then we can put the dress on top of that. We can get the head on there. As long as I can figure out a way to kind of hold the skirt up until it gets hardened. Once it's hardened, the undulations and all that will hold it in place, and it'll keep it from doing anything and falling apart. And it'll be like kind of like a Pringles chip kind of thing. The more undulations you have, the stronger it's going to be. So yeah, so we do the body, we do that part, and then we're pretty well there. So it's not a super complicated, in theory, deal we have going on, but it should be doable. And yeah, this should be an interesting time. Like I said, we'll go over the woodworking part when we get to the woodworking. Sorry, I keep looking off to the side. My actual monitor is off to the side this time. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're going to be starting with, and hopefully before long I can get at least the base body out, and then we're going to just go from there. We'll start doing the dress, start doing the head, and start getting some of the other stuff kind of going. Again, I'm not going to be putting these out. I'm not going to be showing every single minute of me making it this time like I did before. Instead, I'm probably just going to do like the body section. I'll do just like masking out the body. It might be like a 10 or 15-minute video that goes out. And then doing like the head and hat and the head and the helmet and putting like the upper part of the dress on. Might be like another little like 15, 20-minute or whatever thing. Then doing the dress itself as it kind of floofs out might be another like 20-minute kind of thing just to kind of show. So rather than show everything this time, anytime we hit like a new problem-solving area is where we're going to make another kind of video out of this. So upload times could be kind of all over the place. I'm hoping to get at least one per week. We'll see if I can get 2 per week. That would be great. That would be awesome. But I'm not expecting to get all 3 per week. That's going to be more work than I can put into something to do between my day job and training for my next race and doing my next fitness stuff. So bear with, just kind of like I said, pop on usually it's going to be either a Tuesday, Thursday, or a Saturday things go up. If I do twice a week, it's probably going to be a Saturday and a Tuesday. Thursdays may not get as much, but it's what it's going to be for this one. And it should be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to this. It's going to be a good time. It is going to be a unit when it's all said and done. I'm looking forward to see this thing finished. But we're on the starting line now. And yeah, next time we'll hopefully have the body and or the head done. And until then, and until that next time comes, enjoy.